Hi there, this is Sandra from the Schwowin's Nest. Thanks for joining me today. My first project is using these Dollar Tree wood panels. I lucked out and my Dollar Tree had these. I was so excited, so I grabbed 3 of them. They're going to be perfect for this project. I found this shiplap paper at Michael's, so I grabbed a few pieces and I'm going to cut them into 4. These little wood panels are 6 by 6. This is a 12 by 12 piece of paper, so it's perfect. I can just cut it into 4 and I'll have the right size. I'm just going to use a glue stick and cover each of these wood panels really well and then put on the scrapbook paper. I'm going to smooth out any of the bubbles, and with glue sticks, you really don't get a whole lot of bubbles because it's not as wet, so it doesn't transform the paper. When you're using Mod Podge, it's a very wet product, so the paper ends up getting wet as well, and that's why you get all the bubbles. So now I'm going to work on what I'm putting on top of these wood panels, and that is 3 pictures of succulents. This is my inspiration from Target. The Target ones are on a canvas, but I prefer the wood panel. So I printed 3 different types of succulents out on white thick cardstock, and I'm using my craft knife to cut them out. This is going to give them a little bit of a raised appearance, and it turns out absolutely gorgeous, much better than I anticipated. I found these on Pixabay, so I will definitely have them linked down in the description box for you. They're absolutely free from Pixabay. You can do whatever you like with them. Again, I'm just using my glue stick to put them right on top of the panel. I'm using some Dollar Tree sandpaper just to sand off the excess paper. The glues had a chance to dry, so it's not going to rip anything else, and this is a really easy way of trimming the edges. The second project I have for you today is using these dollar store beads. They came from Dollarama in a variety pack, and they're really soft, so they're super easy to cut in half and make into half rounds. Now, these are square beads, so they're not really round, but you get the idea. I'm also using a wood panel that I used for a different project. I'm going to repurpose it into this project. I'm just going to cut a whole bunch of beads until I have enough to go around the inside of the frame. I'm going to glue on the beads with hot glue this time, and I'm going to go all the way around the interior of this wood panel, which I'm using the opposite way. I love to do that because they have a beautiful frame, and this one is a really nice wide frame. This came from the everyday value items at Michael's. I had to take off these first ones because I glued them on wrong. You could see the hole of the bead from the bottom, and I wanted that to be covered by the next bead. So I just took them off and put them on the proper way. I'm using some chiffon cream chalk paint, and that's sort of creamy color. It's from Rust-Oleum, and I'm going to go ahead and give the inside of the frame to cover up that letter and all of the beads a really nice coat. This is my Target inspiration piece. Mine's going to look a little bit different. I'm also going to use some different colors, but this was my inspiration. So I'm not trying to dupe this exactly. I'm just getting inspired by what it looks like. I'm pouring out some of the Folk Art Home Decor clear wax into a little bit of Parisian gray chalk paint, and I'm making a nice glaze to put on top of this. Now you'll notice that the E is still there. I forgot that I'm just going to be adding some paper on top, so I didn't need to waste my time painting it. I ended up adding a little blob of my walnut gel stain. I wanted the color to be a little warmer, that original gray. It was beautiful, but not quite the color I was looking for. Using a regular paintbrush, I'm going to go ahead and put all of the glaze on, including the inside of the panel. I'm going to make sure that I get into all the cracks and crevices of these beads because I want them to be accented. Using a baby wipe, I'm going to dab on the beads to bring out some of the chiffon cream color from underneath, but I want that wax to stay in all of the cracks. So I'm just going to continue doing this until I like it. I actually did a little bit of wiping around the edges, which is something that I didn't like. I pulled off a little too much in some spots. So then I just went ahead and added a little bit more. So you can do this as often or as little as you want. It's totally personal preference how you want your project to look. I found these cute little paper packs at my local dollar store, and I'm just going to go ahead and size this one to fit. It's a little different than what the inspiration piece was, but again, as I said, it was just an inspiration, and I wanted mine to have more of a neutral look to it, so anything that you added inside of the frame would pop. So because that letter E is really dark black, I decided to put my paper on top of some cardstock. If my paper that I chose would have been a cardstock, it would have been fine, but I didn't want to take a chance that any of that letter was going to show through. So I'm just going to glue my little piece of paper onto this white cardstock and then cut it out. Then I'll take my glue stick and glue it inside my panel. I also decided to put on one of these little clips. That'll give me the option of changing my decor out whenever I feel like it. The final project I have for you today is using this plastic medallion. It's really lightweight. It was from my Dollarama store for $4. It's been in my closet, and I'm going to give it a coat of this gray primer first. After the primer was dry, the blue was all gone, and then I gave it one coat of hammered metal finish in silver. Using my round chip brush and some dark gray chalk paint, I'm just going to pounce all over the piece, not covering it completely. I still want some of that silver to show through, but I want to give it a bit of a galvanized look. The next step to galvanizing is adding a little bit of white and black, and you just go ahead and add what is pleasing to your eye. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be as light or as dark as you want it to be. Here's my inspiration piece. To add a little bit more contrast, like the inspiration piece, I'm taking a makeup sponge and some of my walnut gel stain, and I'm going to just drag it around the edges and some of the higher pieces to make it look like it's a little bit rusted and bring out some more of the details. For the second part of this project, I'm using this old sign that I never used, and I'm just going to sand down the paint and the ink a little bit so it doesn't show through the new paint that I'm going to put on. I'm starting out by just painting on 4 different colors. I'm just going to go along the lines that I already have there. The first color that I'm putting on here is Parisian Gray by Folk Art. The second color is Clay by Martha Stewart Vintage Chalk Paints. I really love this color. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just so neutral, yet it has a beautiful individual color. I don't know how to explain it, but I just really love it. So I hope I'll be able to find it again once I'm out. I'm just going to go ahead and blend these two colors together just very lightly where the stripe is, and then I'll work on the third and fourth colors. So this cupboard door went through a bunch of different changes. I started painting it black, sort of dry brushing it around the edges to get the frame to pop a little bit more, but then I didn't end up liking that. So I took a baby wipe and I wiped off the majority of the black paint. I also changed the darkness of the two other colors here. The dark gray is from Folk Art. It is called Maui Sand. And the dark brown is Rust-Oleum and it's called Cocoa Bean. And I just didn't like the way they looked against the medallion. So I'm not going to make you go through all of the changes I made. I'm going to show you what I did in the end. I ended up dry brushing a whole bunch of Parisian gray and a little bit of white all over this piece. You can still see the differences in the colors, but it's just not as deep as it was before. I just found it was way too dark for my taste. I ended up adding more of the clay color and the Parisian gray and just made it a lot lighter and more solid in colors than it looked. It was just a really tough project for me. I'm not sure what was going on, but I just couldn't make it work the way I liked it. But that is the beauty of paint. You can always paint over it as many times as you need to get it right. So here I am working the frame. I'm putting some white on it to lighten it up. Then I didn't like that either. So then, of course, the baby wipe came out and I kind of restored it back to its original color. I added a couple of nails to the top just to hold the medallion in place, and I think I finally got it. I really hope you enjoyed my creations today. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That tells YouTube you like it and they promote me more. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to stick around. Hit that subscribe button. The black arrow will tell you exactly where to click. You can also enjoy some of my other videos by clicking on them right here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.